Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with NFMLA magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center. I'd like to join with Karim, who's come all the way from San Francisco to be with us with his fantastic film gallery. Let's take a look at the clip. Welcome, firstly. Thank you so much for being here today and welcome to the NewFilmmakers LA family. So really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for screening gallery. It was such a pleasure being here and being a part of NewFilmmakers LA.
Well, you're family now, but I just want to say I'm you know, so impressed with gallery, so impressed with the depth of meaning that you made behind this film. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us the brief synopsis.
So the film talks about stepping into an art gallery, you know, with 3 exhibitions. Everyone discusses a different social problem, and you just have to see how is it being formed.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much depth of story in there, and I love this concept of bringing it, you know, through a gallery, and it was wildly, you know, fantastically imagination, but also, you know, very disturbing because it had a lot of truths in there. Where did the inspiration come for you, Karim, in creating this project?
So, unfortunately, we live in really dark times as of now, and I had those type of problems on my mind. I really wanted to speak about them, and, you know, I wanted to show it from my own perspective as, you know, a Middle Eastern filmmaker. You know, I'm Egyptian American filmmaker. I've been in San Francisco for like 10 years, and growing up in the city was also a huge inspiration for me on the film, because I've been to so many you know, art galleries, museums. San Francisco is a really artistic city, and I just had the idea of mixing both together. Why I don't talk about the problems that I want to discuss in the shape of, you know, a gallery or art forms, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's we spoke about this at the festival. Really, it's almost like we sometimes view some of the things that happen in our own communities and around the world like we're observing them like we're observing you know, something at a gallery, right? Which is like a horrible thing when you really think about that. That's a horrible thing. We're not really taking it all in the way we should do. We're just observing it from like a distance. Was that something you were trying to put in as a subcontext? Because I really was like annoyed at myself the way I was understanding that.
Pretty much, you know, like I wanted to be able to like step into it like an audience, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like we all do, you know, when we see things from far, sometimes we can interact.
Yeah.
But it is happening and it is real. You know, like I discussed in the first exhibition, you know, racism and sexism.
Yeah.
The second one, I talked about women's rights, you know, all over the world, not just the U.S. You know, unfortunately, so many horrible things happening around the world. And the third one, I also touched up on how our society could unfortunately sometimes mislead the next generation to think differently or act differently, and which could lead to horrible actions later on, unfortunately. But
I think with all the things that, like you said, that happen in the world, I think it's really amazing that you tell these films in the way that you do, and you also in your artistic style as well. Like, what is it? How do you go about directing a piece like this? Because it's a very unique way of directing. How did you bring your cast together? How did you work with, obviously, all those young people as well who did a great job? How was this experience, and for them to sort of make sure they understood what was happening?
Well, my directing styles, actually, it's usually inspired by like the 1920s German cinema, you know, expression cinema.
Yeah, expression,
like, you know, Metropolis, for example, or Dr. Gallagher, or, you know, so many great projects that I've seen that not necessarily require any type of, it was silent cinema, right? Like there's no script pretty much.
That's right.
Only actions. And that's what I thought about. I was like, I want to make something that's purely visual storytelling. And I did think of actually involving a script, like, but I thought to myself, adding words would actually take, not add to the project, if that makes sense. I thought it would be very powerful if it's just on its own visual storytelling. Also, I've, again, being Middle Eastern, I've seen a lot of like foreigner films. Egyptian cinema is also a huge inspire to me. Specifically, Yusuf Shaheen, he's like one of the biggest filmmakers of all time, personally, I think. This guy been to so many great festivals, won so many prestigious awards. I'm just aiming, maybe one day I could.
You're doing it already, don't you worry, Karim, you're doing it already. And I really love that you portrayed this film in the way that you did. And, I am curious, like, what did you kind of want your audience to sort of experience from your film? Because you like you said, I think you really gave us some opportunity to pause, and because there was no dialogue, you made us think and use our imagination, which I thought was very powerful. I constantly thinking about every single scene you gave us. The same way you'd be in a gallery and you would go off into your imagination, right? So what did you kind of want your audience to experience and take from your film?
I wanted them to see the type of art that I made and, try to understand it from their own perspective, artist's perspective. Everyone receive it differently, but I still wanted each one to get the message that I wanted to be heard, like in the first, second, and third, take the core element of the story and really think about it. How can I do better? How does it affect society? What is our role in order to make this better, in order to prevent those problems, to have a stand. I think the most really amazing thing is when you can watch a film and you can go away and it will sit with you and you'll think about it. And I'm still thinking about your film, and I think it's just important to keep spreading that around. Now, where did you film this? It felt like this a gallery, obviously. What was it like working with the young people as well? Because you did a great job. They all did a really good job. And I always think about when young people have some very kind of serious things put in front of them. Like, how does that work when you tell them about how it works? Like, how do you talk to them? And this scene's about this, and this scene's about this. Like, that's always very fascinating to me. But yeah, location and kind of how did you work with those young people about these very serious subjects? Well, the location was kind of, easy to pick. It's a gallery.
It's a gallery,
and in San Francisco, the owners were really helpful, and they helped me a lot, moving things around the set design, also directing kids. It is difficult, but you have to always remind them that this means a lot. Besides, you always have to remind them that you should have fun. This is what you want to do one day. Acting is super important, and you're trying to reach to the people just throughout your emotions, body language. There's no words, so it is a lot of work on them, and I really appreciate them for being super great. Like, each one within the film did such an incredible job. Specifically, the kids. We all know working with kids could be hassle, could be hard. Explaining the movie to the parents was even harder.
Yes.
But I was really thankful for having the chance to work with them. I think they're incredible. Directing them was a bit hard, but again, I always just had to remind them, like, this is the type of environment that, one day it might be tougher, it might be, you might have to do more effort, but right now it's fun, it's great, you just do your best, and you will see yourself on the screen, which is pretty cool.
I love it. What is next for you? What's coming up next?
So as of now, I am working on a second short that could potentially expand to a feature. So I'm working on both drafts at the moment at the same time. Yeah, I'm working on the final draft for the short, and I'm working on my first draft for the feature. And I'm trying to, take what, specific parts of the feature to make it short first, so it has a bigger potential to become a feature. I will also start on developing the feature potentially, you know,
That's fantastic.
when the shorts, you know, go around a little bit and have some success.
No, fantastic. And, you know, you shared a little bit about like, you know, the influences, like I love your influence, obviously, hopefully, you know, obviously by 1920s Germany and fantastic Egyptian filmmakers and people from around the world. And I always think it's important to watch films, other countries, other languages, like really get to sort of see the world cinema space, right? So you can understand the kind of filmmaker you want to be. But for you as a filmmaker personally, like what kind, for you as an artist, like what kind of, you know, creative input or thoughts go through your head when you're making a film that you could share with our filmmaking audience?
Most importantly, like for me personally, I always think of like what the audience could take from the film after, you know, how can they discuss it with their family, friends, you know, people they know, what kind of impact that will, you know, be what kind of impact they will receive from the film, you know, and will get them thinking and maybe, you know, hopefully doing something about it, you know, that which is super important. But again, you know, art is beautiful, you know, so showing those type of unfortunate events or problems, social problems, political problems, in the shape of arts is it's at its finest and ugliest at the same time, you know. But we still have to receive it regardless. We still have to watch it. We still have to do something about it. And, you know, seeing art from all over the world really helps us understand their point of view. You know, like, I feel like every country at some point, they had an artistic voice they really need to stand out with, you know, like the Italian and neorealism, for example, French New Wave, you know. That some movies, they changed a whole rules and governments,
100%.
which is incredible, you know.
Power of film, power of the moving image.
True,
you
true.
know, well, I love the way that you've, you know, whirled into our imagination, you know, through what you gave us, but also just the importance of challenging our minds, of understanding education, perspective, the world that's going on. Like, you really did that with this film, and you know, that's obviously something that you have as a great quality in also your future projects as well. So listen, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Thank you for bringing gallery to us, and we're looking forward to your next project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.